Okay, we are live. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome. I am Jaquita Reed, and this is the Married Millennial Podcast. Welcome back and thank you. I know I have not been here in like a month. Happy New Year to everybody. I am here with the lovely Anitra Rice. Welcome. So, it's funny because I want to let Anitra introduce herself and things like that, but it's funny because we had this conversation just over the phone. And she was like, hey, let's just make it a podcast. Let's just get on your podcast. So if you see the title is Dating After Loss, so with Miss Anitra Rice. So Anitra, please introduce yourself.
I'm Anitra, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist
Mhm.
and educator, parent coach, mother.
Yes, all of the things. Yes, absolutely. And so Anitra, can you tell people in general who you work with, and then we can talk about just continue our conversation that we were talking about.
I work with currently at my day job with
Mhm.
children and adults. I'm a
Mhm.
therapist inside of the school system, and I also put on parent trainings. And then for
Mm.
my business, Anitra Rice Family Therapy, I see families, individuals, and I also coach parents. So that's
Mhm.
something that I'm really, really passionate about is family and
I
yeah,
love that.
and all of that. Yeah.
That's so nice. It's so needed for sure. Um, Absolutely. And then you also have a podcast. I just want to talk about it first, so we can, and then we can get it. Yeah. Anitra also has an amazing podcast. Please share with us about your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast is called Inspiring Hope, and it is my way of documenting my journey of being a double suicide loss survivor and
Mhm.
how I have been able to come into a place of hope. And so I share that journey, the specifics and intricacies, the intimacies of some of that with my listeners. And I bring hope as well as I inspire others to hope. And we talk about just life in general. So we talk about, of course, mental health, but also just not only loss, but living. How do you live
Mhm.
again after experiencing loss? And so we talk
I
about
know that's
just
right.
life and all those things. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so important. So, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we got into this conversation and that we will be sharing it with everyone who will be listening. And so, again, please check out Anitra's podcast, Inspiring Hope. You can find it on Apple Music, Google Music, Spotify. Check her out. And so we're gonna jump right in. So we were talking initially about just dating and how you've had the experience of dating after, like you said, kind of losing your sons, and then trying to navigate this crazy world. So please share with us just in general your experience, like the findings.
It is hard out here in these dating streets.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Like even prior to losing my sons physically on this earth, I still wrestle with saying losing them
Okay.
because it doesn't feel like they're not complete, they're not lost in the sense
Yeah.
of they're just no longer in time and space.
Ooh,
They're in eternity. And
I like that.
yeah, so
Mhm.
the loss of their physical presence is, I
Yeah,
guess, to best say it. But
I like that.
when my guys left,
Mhm.
it was, or before my guys left, it was, dating was already just interesting.
Mhm. So okay.
But after losing my son, the loss of, okay, just, yeah, after they
I
left,
know. It's
yeah,
okay, yes.
yeah, but after they left, it was, it's, it's it's different even more so than before. And the difference is that it's difficult to find men who are able to be present
Mm.
feel as if they have to fix. And I get that for men, that's kind of like a what they do. Like I'm gonna come in and save the day, and
Mhm.
this this isn't something that you can save me from. And
Ooh.
even when even I've I've found that me facing my pain,
Mhm.
and being very intentional about my healing has also been a source of discomfort for men because
Mm.
it's in one dating relationship, it triggered him
Yeah.
because
Oh.
he hadn't he hadn't faced some traumatic loss from his past or like a
Yeah.
couple of traumatic losses from his past. And the way that he coped with those traumatic losses was just to
Mm.
um, like avoid them. And it had gotten to a point,
Absolutely.
yeah, with him also that it was so painful for one of these losses that he developed dissociative amnesia.
Ooh. Can you
And
tell people a little bit about dissociative amnesia?
yeah, it's when trauma has impacted your ability to remember. And so
Mm.
for him, he cannot remember like these blocks of time around
Yeah.
these particular traumas.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening though was while we were dating, me intentionally facing my pain triggered
Mm.
those memories for him, and things started to come up, and it was like, whoa. And
Yeah.
so for him, it was like he didn't, for him, he just, it was difficult to face. I don't know if he wanted
Mm.
to face it, and he didn't have the coping skills necessary to engage with me and that at the same time.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
it was painful. It was
Mhm.
especially painful because we had this amazing dynamic connection, and we both thought that we were each other's persons or people.
Wow.
And it was so painful to have him just like cut off communication and us not really have a finalizing conversation to say what this is or isn't. And it was painful for me too because um, it was one of those things where I've already experienced these tremendous losses, and then on top of that, I lost my mother-in-law this past,
Mm.
and then to have this happen with him, I was just like I felt like I was flailing and trying to just like I was drowning and trying to just grasp for something, trying to grasp for
Absolutely.
air, and to have him pop back up.
Absolutely. Like a what? Absolutely. Yeah. No, no go. No go. Yeah.
It was painful, and then and then subsequently after that, I reached out to him, and just recently, and it was just even still like this up and down roller coaster thing, and it was like even knowing me reaching out to him wasn't a healthy thing for me, and so
Mm.
I had to I had to block because I was like
Really? Black.
I can't take this into 2023. And
Yeah.
now have a vision of what it is and who it is that I'm looking for. I'm thinking I need to put my headphones because I'm getting some feedback.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm putting on my headphones.
Okay. Okay.
But, let's see.
I know that's right. No, you're good. Okay. Okay. I had to put my AirPods so that it can.
Can you you hear me
I can
okay?
hear you. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
I don't know why I'm still getting some feedback. Let's see if
Are
I
you?
I don't know.
I wonder what it is as well. I wonder, is it me? Are you getting feedback from me or just from both of us?
I'm hearing it from you, from your and I don't
Okay.
know why it's like
Okay.
this echoey.
That's frustrating. Hold on, let me turn my audio off. Let me see.
Okay.
Well, only thing I did was mute it, so I'm saying what's gonna happen. Let me
I don't know.
see. Are you still hearing that feedback? Can you hear me at all? You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's better. I don't hear any feedback now.
Oh, okay, cool.
I
I
don't know. Yeah.
connected to
Yay.
I thought it was already connected, but maybe not in StreamYard. So
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
absolutely. So you were saying that once you guys got back you recently reached out to him, but it was still kind of like an off and on thing. So you kind
Yeah. I was just like, I can't. It's
of okay,
because I realized I was participating in my own heartbreak.
yeah, absolutely.
And I also realized that this was also a symptom of my pain
Mhm.
and me
Mm,
still healing from loss and losing the physical presence of my sons,
yeah.
of my two oldest sons. Um and it was one of those things of me needing to just cut it off
Mm,
so that I can heal and allow myself to feel those feelings of
mm.
loss from
So
him now.
how long had you experienced your own, the passing of your sons, and then how long was ago was his event where he lost some people in his life?
So Jaden, when he and I started dating, it had only been a year
Okay.
since Jaden had passed.
Wow. Okay.
And then it had been 2 years, like two and a
Mhm.
half years for Josiah, since Josiah had passed.
Okay.
And with him, it had been quite a while. Like,
Yeah.
mm, I would say maybe over 15 years
Mm.
since the first loss, and
Yeah.
then maybe 10 years or so or
Mm.
more since the other loss he experienced. And
So his were pretty, they were pretty far back. There was
yeah.
still so much unresolved,
Mhm.
dealing with his emotions and how those impact him. And
Yeah.
yours was pretty fresh because a year and 2 years is like, yesterday.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was painful. It was really, really painful, just to
Mm,
go through that whole entire experience because I had yeah, it was just, and I dated someone previously before him for, like, 6 months, and that didn't work out, and so
yeah.
what it was like, it was this thing of with the other person, they told me that my pain was a lot for them.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Like,
Yeah. It's like you almost appreciate the honesty, but then the other part is that it makes it even I can only imagine it makes it more painful for you. They're like, "What is that confusing? How did you go through that process?"
it was for me, I had a feeling and I had to,
Mhm.
like, bring it out, like, "Is this too much for you?
Yeah,
Am I too much
yeah,
for you?" And I said it
mm,
"Look, I just need to know."
yeah,
'Cause I'm like, "This is my life, this is who I am, this is what it's gonna be. I'm
mm,
intentionally healing, but if this ain't your cup of tea, then
mhm.
it is what it is."
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
drag me out and say and so I appreciated the honesty too. It was
Mhm,
painful. didn't really internalize it too much.
Okay.
I think it was
Good.
other behaviors that were unkind
Okay.
because he didn't have the emotional intelligence and the emotional vocabulary to express
Yeah.
what he was experiencing. And so it came out in other ways that
Okay.
were really unkind. That was the hurtful thing,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
telling me the truth, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like, this is what it is.
But I
And
wonder if part of you already felt sort of in some sort of insecurity about your own pain that when he said it, it's like, "Oh, okay." I kinda it's hurtful to hear, but I kinda already I mean, because sometimes we feel we it's scary to be vulnerable and to
yeah,
have to go through that pain, and so, yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting.
definitely so. Definitely so to be told your pain is a lot.
Yeah,
And
okay.
and I it hurt. It did hurt. And I have not internalized it to a point of feeling completely
Mhm.
discouraged about dating after loss,
Good. Okay.
but it hurts. And I do know that, and this isn't a bad thing though. I do know that my dating pool is limited, but
Mm,
it's not a bad thing 'cause I think it weeds out a certain kind of man. Because you have to be
okay.
really emotional, have done your emotional work to step up to this.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
do
what I
you think
want.
that's a oh, right, right, of
That's what I
course.
want. So I'm
Of
like, "All right,
course.
bet. All right."
Right. Right, okay, bye. But it's like
Yeah.
ultimately though, because you said it's a very limited pool, but then that means in your journey, you have I mean, how do you keep hope, right? Your podcast is called Inspiring Hope, which is interesting. So, but how do you maintain your own hope in this
Yes.
in this, you know?
I can tell you, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to tell you too, because I do
Mhm.
have hope
Yeah.
for finding my guy. And it's not
Yeah.
that I think there's only one guy in the world for me. I
Of
think that
course, yeah.
but my guy, the one who
Period.
sticks and stays.
I know that's right,
Like,
okay?
yeah, I don't need a whole bunch of y'all, I just need one.
Absolutely.
One black guy, because
Okay. She bet you don't know right now. Say one black guy, okay.
just one
She said,
black
"One."
guy.
I love it. Okay, that's the truth.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I love and appreciate black men. But,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, so what I've been
Mhm,
doing, my big old
mhm.
bun is in the way
It's
for me,
okay.
like,
That's
I'm
why I got a low ponytail because I
trying
understand.
I try to get
Yeah,
this, like, stuck on here.
it's
So,
okay.
so, one thing that I do to inspire
Mhm.
hope for myself with that, because like,
Mhm.
inspiring hope is like that's how I live.
Yeah.
So I follow certain guys on social
Mm.
media, and I feel and it's just
Mm.
yeah, and it's just like
Tell us
and
more.
yeah, so the men
Yeah.
that I follow, I deeply,
Mhm.
deeply respect,
Okay. Nice.
and they give me so much hope because these are men who are marriage minded and who
Mm.
are doing their work, have
I
done
love
deeper
that.
healing work, and it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to see, and it
Yeah.
encourages my entire soul.
I love that.
Yes,
I
and
love
I
that.
also see them reaching out to other men to encourage them
Mhm.
to heal, and, they're all black men, and they,
I love
reach
that.
out to other, men or, black men in general to do their deeper healing work, and I see some of the men that they're connected to, and they're doing the
Mm.
work too, and I'm like, "See, I'm not
Okay.
alone," and so there
Oh,
is
I love
somebody
that.
out there for me, and,
I
so
love that.
yeah, I just it's
Please, I'm
so,
sure
so
people wanna
encouraging.
know. If you wanna share, who
Yeah,
are you
of course.
following?
It's like, look, let me tell you, I will tell you, like, if I got a new brand of toothpaste and it's making my teeth really white, I will tell you, okay?
Okay, I love that.
If
I
I
love it.
had
I
it
know that's right.
shoot, I'm like, "Let me tell you about this toothpaste." So,
I know that's right. That's how I am too.
girl, so,
Listen, everybody needs to get in on this, okay?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
some people, like, they may already
Mhm.
know because 'cause they're pretty
That's good.
popular, but one
That's
of
good.
them
Mhm.
is Laterris Whitfield,
Mhm.
uh,
Okay.
Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay,
just
Imma have
like
to write these down for my clients,
yes,
okay?
it's so good. He's so
Yeah.
encouraging.
Okay.
And because he has, it's his journey of, let's see, how does he say it? It's his journey of uncovering, discovering, or rediscovering and discovering love. And
Mm.
so he has so many different guests on there who have gone through so many different things in their lives, but they have the commonality
Mm.
of wanting to find love, or either they found love. And
Oh, I love that.
they talk about deeper healing, and
Mm.
just facing uh, uh, facing yourself, and with
Mm.
honesty and truth, and living intentionally and transparently.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and so it just encourages me so much. So I'm always like following him. And
Mm.
I just started listening last year, so I have a couple of
Mhm.
years to catch up on.
Okay, that's okay. That's
that's
okay. It always gives you
that's what I've been
content to
doing
catch
over
up
the
on.
break. I mean, like, oh, let me just watch this one.
I know that's right. I
So
love it. But I mean, but that speaks to just in general about if you want things to be in your life and you want to keep inspiring hope, I think you need to involve yourself and surround yourself with things that give you hope. And
yeah,
so it makes so much sense for you to follow a podcast of men and to follow people whom inspire you to believe in the type of men that you want. It's
yes.
perfect. Like,
Let me tell you, because for a long time, I did have difficulty imagining what my guy would look like. I don't mean
mm,
physically, I mean inside, his
absolutely.
character, the way he would treat me. Like, I
Yeah.
had a difficult time because I've gone through so much pain. Even, years
Mm,
ago when I was married for 12 years, and I won't get into all that, but it was really
mm,
painful. And I went,
mm,
and so, and my dad passed away when I was a little girl. And so
oh,
I
mm,
did not have a healthy reference for what relationships look like, and how
absolutely.
a man really treats a woman when he loves her and adores her. I see that from my brother-in-law, but my sister's
Mm,
husband, but it's kind of hard to see clearly when you're so close up on it.
yeah, yeah,
And but now
yeah.
there are so many things that I admire about my brother-in-law,
Nice.
but it was
Mm,
like I didn't know how I should be treated, and I would
mm.
take on too much responsibility for the relationship and the maintenance of a relationship.
Emotionally too.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, and so it was
that's common too. So
mhm,
common.
yeah, and
Mm.
so, this journey has been really healing for me. But some other people that I follow is Jay Barnett. So
Okay.
Barnett is an MFT like you and
Oh, I love it.
I know,
Okay.
right?
I need to
I
check out
know.
his podcast.
Yes. So he doesn't have a podcast, but
Okay.
he's been on a million podcasts.
Really?
So
Okay.
he's on Instagram, and
Okay.
but just he does, so his platform has been Just Heal Bro. And
Oh.
yeah, and so yeah, so he's been traveling around the globe spreading the message
Mm,
to men of healing. And so I'm just
mm.
like,
I
yes,
love that
yes.
because you know what? It's so interesting. Initially when Tony Gaskin and I ain't gonna mention other dude name because I didn't really care for him anyway. But when
I kind of know who you're talking about.
you already know what I'm talking about. I
Girl.
didn't care for him anyway. But
Yeah.
I feel like when men start coming out talking to women in general about their things and their healing, I immediately went to where and I appreciate them because they do help a lot. But I also went to the fact of where are the men who are helping the men because they are the ones silently struggling. Like, I had to do a lot with my husband just to help him recognize some of his emotions, things, and bring things out. Initially, women, we also are undereducated naturally growing up and understanding what men need, how their process, and to be able
Yeah.
to say, hey, you need to probably go seek help. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's difficult to even understand that we need help because mental health was not something that was commonly talked about in our households growing up.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that there are men out there and it's very inspiring. And I'm
It
going to definitely share
is.
this with some of my clients because,
It
like, what?
is. It is so inspiring. And
Yeah.
I hear you. Like, women
Mm.
have not been taught how to create a safe space for men.
Yes.
And
Ooh,
oh,
yeah,
girl, and it
yeah,
just, whew,
yeah.
Man, I
Yeah,
just saying it out loud is just like my heart just
I
aches.
know, because
It's
we all have some accountability, like,
yeah, we
at some
do.
point.
We
Mhm.
do. We absolutely do. And as much as our men have to learn how to emote,
Yes.
we have to learn how to be safe for them
Mhm.
to emote
Yeah.
and not chasten them or belittle
Mhm.
them,
Yeah.
just diminish them when they express. And,
Yes.
or if they cry, look at them like, what's wrong with you? Or our sons as well.
Oh, yes.
Girl. And
Yeah.
so, oh my gosh. And
Mhm.
we in the Black community, we need help and
Yeah.
support and I don't know what's the word,
Yeah.
discovering or uncovering
Okay.
mental
Yeah.
health and what that
Mhm.
looks like, and seeing the transgenerational issues that we have inherited and taken on as our own,
Yes.
but that are dangerous.
I agree.
Honestly, they're dangerous for
Mhm.
us. And the uptick in Black male suicidality
Yeah.
is not just something that's just going on because it's a trend. It
Yeah.
is the symptom of what's been underneath the surface all along, and
For
now it's just reached,
generations.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
reached a fever pitch, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, this isn't a fad. This is like, we have to address this.
This is
And
real life.
yeah. And
Yeah.
when I meet with too many
Mhm.
Black male clients, they tell me that, excuse me,
No, you're okay.
they share with me how their families have ridiculed them,
Mm.
have berated them when they reach out and tell them that they're hurting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I,
Mm.
I just, like, I don't even have the words. Like, my
Yeah.
heart is like on fire, and there's this anger in me, but at the same time,
Mhm.
I get it. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know how to face our stuff. What we've been doing, we've learned how to manage it by
Mhm.
avoiding it, by ignoring it, because we had to. It's a
Pushing
trauma
it
response.
down.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a trauma response that we have of, we just got to keep going. We got to survive. We got to keep going, and
Mhm.
we don't have time to address this. But we
Mhm.
have to learn that tool that we've used for so long to get through
Mhm.
so much pain for all this time
Of
is not
course.
working anymore.
Yeah,
It's
because
not
we have
working.
systemic pain, we have the internal pain, we have the pain we're dealing with our families, we have the pain like, there's so much pain that has been there for generations, and then to br and it's so interesting we're talking about this because it wraps back around to finding a man who can, can have the capacity to sustain, to be with a woman and, they can be together after loss or after traumatic events in general because if we are not able to create those safe spaces like you said, if we are not holding those spaces, how can we expect those things in return? How can we, when we go to a man and we are dealing with a lot of vulnerability or pain or trauma, how can we expect him to show up for us if we are not being a part of the change or the part of the community that when someone else comes to us or when a man comes to us, we're helping him to be aware, we're helping him to, as you said earlier, of course, him being in charge of his own, care and knowing what he needs, but also still just creating that space. So it makes sense that it's kind of like a cycle. It's like if we're not creating the spaces and if it's not okay, but then we get with men and we're dating and getting with men who have no awareness on how to help us because they have no awareness of their own pain and how it impacts them, it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
So that means it needs to be somewhere that someone, interjects to change the cycle at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it can't just be what I've discovered. I can't just be the sole person. Like, it has
Yeah.
to be both of us looking at our stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what in the past I would do. I would take on and that's what I was doing in this last most recent, situation,
Mm.
before I blocked the person.
So, please tell us. We're call I mean, please tell us because what's so interesting to me is that, I guess I have 2 questions and which maybe tie into this. Well, one of them is, how did you know the difference between your needs and your trauma needs, like your pain needs? Because in my mind, it seems that those would be like your trauma and the pain that you've been through, the losing of your sons, the passing of your sons would be something that triggers a different need or maybe a deeper need than just what you naturally needed before
That's
losing them
good.
in that way.
That's a really good question. Man, at first, you're right, my needs have changed,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
not as much as think what I judge them to have changed. So
mhm,
at
okay.
first, when I was dating after the loss, it was, I was judgmental of my pain. I
Mm,
was judgmental
mm,
of what it was that I needed. And what I mean is, um, before, inconsistency would be like, I can't.
mhm,
But now inconsistency was a major trigger for me
mhm,
into
okay.
abandonment.
Mm,
And I would judge that. I would
mm,
judge it. And I would be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Oh, maybe I should just do this. I should
mm,
acquiesce to, this situation or whatever. And what I discovered is that that alert inside of me was
mm,
hypersensitive, and
mm,
rather than judge it, I should pay attention to it and go, "Okay, what is it trying to tell me?"
yeah,
And sit with
yeah,
it and just
absolutely.
be with it. And because what I discovered is it was telling me the truth. Maybe it was telling me something in a way that it was like, Nitra, Nitra, Nitra. But it was
Absolutely.
still something that was telling me the truth, because the truth is that the person that I just blocked
Blacks.
showed,
Hashtag black.
yeah, hashtag blocked. Just he showed signs in the very beginning of
Mm,
inconsistency.
mm,
And because I was judging my detector, I reasoned it away, and I was
mm,
judging myself like maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I'm broken because of all the broken things that happened to me.
mm,
And so I was like, well, I'm going to give him another chance. I'm going to give him another chance. But
mm,
he showed me from the jump that he is not consistent and that he makes
mm.
excuses for his inconsistency.
Mhm,
And because I'm like,
mhm,
well, I can love you. I can love you well.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Come here.
Um,
I
oh,
got you.
I got you.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like I was
Oh my
taking
god.
on too much responsibility, like, "My love can make it all better."
Yeah,
It's like
wow.
it's
And
like
I wonder because of your own pain, if you were looking, because like they say, sometimes when we support and fix other people, it makes us feel better. I wonder, I mean, that could definitely already have been your natural, because most women are mostly like that.
yeah.
But just to be able to already experience that level of pain and then to find someone like, "Oh, yeah, we can ignore all that, I got you. This is gonna be okay." But only
Yeah.
to realize, like, no, it's not okay,
It's not okay. It's not
Yeah.
okay. It was something that I had dealt with, um, before, and I
Mhm.
started writing a book called, Auditioning for Worthy. And
Wow.
that was my auditioning. It was
Mm,
from another pain that was re-triggered from the loss of my
mm,
sons,
mm,
and, it was, from things that I went through as a child, things that I went through in my, former marriage, of
yeah.
feeling like I had to do the most in order to prove to them that I was worth loving.
Mm, wow.
And after the
Wow.
loss of my sons, it was like, "See, I'm lovable, see?
Mhm.
And I'm a good person. I'm a really good person." And it was
Yeah.
trying to uh comfort my own heart
Yeah.
and that fear of abandonment, because I was just, it felt losing two sons to suicide feels like
Mm.
an abandonment. It's just this
Absolutely.
abrupt thing that happened.
Yeah.
And so I had abandonment issues from my former marriage, which I
Mm.
worked a lot through, but
Absolutely.
the loss of two sons to suicide was like, boom, it took
Ooh.
me. And so
Yeah.
when I would see this distancing or this inconsistency in
Mm.
communication, it was like, and so at first I
Yeah.
cut it off. I was like, I'm done. And he was like,
Mhm.
oh, da 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 da. And I was like, "All
I love
right."
that.
Yeah, I was like, "All right, I'll give you another chance. All right, all right,
Yeah.
all right." But
Yeah.
but the inside of me was like, "No, no, 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 no." And I ignored
Mm.
it because I was like, "Oh, that's just that part that's like this, and okay, no, it's just
Mm.
overreacting." But no, that part was sensitive because it'd been there before.
Absolutely.
It
Multiple
seen this, it
times.
recognized this. It was like, "No, no, no,
Mhm.
no, no, he's not it,
Mhm.
not it." And I
Mm.
and so all the pain and all of that, it
Mm.
took me some time to go, "This isn't it.
Yeah.
This isn't what I deserve. This isn't who God has for me."
Mm. Yeah.
And honestly, in prayer, God said to me, He was like, "Nitra,
Mm.
who I have for you, you won't have to strive for them."
Mm. Yeah.
He was like, "You
Yeah.
won't have to do all these flips and tricks and
Hopes. Yeah.
hoops and like, see?
Yeah. Yeah.
No."
Look at
Like,
me. Yeah.
yeah. And it was like, and it wasn't, like I said, it's not me not knowing my value. I know that
Absolutely.
I'm a beautiful person. I know that I'm an amazing
Mhm.
woman. I know that I have so much to offer. It
Mhm.
was this
Yeah.
pain. And I was like, okay. And yeah, it was painful just to cut it off abruptly, but it
Mhm.
was like, I've dealt with pain. I
Absolutely.
can deal with this.
Yeah. Ooh.
I
Mm. That's interesting to me because I feel like there's 2 sides. I feel like, in dealing with pain, there could be the part of you that's like, "You know what? I'm gonna keep holding on to this even though I see these inconsistencies, even though I see that you're really not fulfilling all of my needs, you're just present." Like, not even like you said, he's not present like that, but you're just there for me to reach out whenever, even though it's inconsistent. But then there's that other part where it's like you said, I've been through this before. So it's I can recognize because you know your value. I think that's the part though. You know your value. And I feel like for people who have dealt with losing someone or any sort of loss or traumatic event, if their value has not been identified by themselves, I think that they probably hold on to things that are similar to the pain and experiences that they had before because they've been through it. Like, oh, this is nothing. I've been through this. And so it's normal. It was like a norm for them to feel those sort of emotions then and not feel anything else. So it seems like those people in that particular situation will hold on to that pain, maybe hold on to that person a lot longer than they need to because they are dealing with loss and grief. And it's interesting because when I lost my dad in 2009. It was my freshman year of college, and my dad passed the
Mhm.
second semester of my college. And just him, my mom was married, and so seeing my mom kind of go through her process of losing my dad and how she responded, and then now, of course, being a therapist and see how people cope with loss of a spouse and of their children, of loved ones, of their parents. Your brain is different. You know what I'm saying? Your needs are different. Your awareness and even in those times, it's interesting. I'm sure if I talked to my mom, she was like, I don't know what I was thinking. How you said earlier about the amnesia, dissociative amnesia. Like, she's like, I don't remember that. I don't know what I was thinking in dating this person and dating that person because I was in a different place. I think sometimes pain makes us highlight things that are superficial or that are temporary needs, and we skip over a whole lot of other things and not realizing until later when we're either further in our healing or when that part of you that does know your worth come up and you be like, yeah, this is not it. Like blocks, right? Thank you for
Yeah.
being here at that time, but this is not it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, holding on, especially if that's all you're used to
Mhm.
and it's so familiar. Because
Mhm.
honestly, dealing with that was a familiar pain.
Yeah.
It was very familiar.
Mm.
And which is like, ooh, but I'm
Yeah.
so grateful too, though, that I'm also familiar with peace.
Mm. Okay.
I
I
know what
love that.
peace feels like. I
Mm.
know what joy feels like
Mm.
after loss. I know what
Ooh.
peace and joy feels like. And so, there was a time that I would have stayed in something much, much longer because
Mm.
I had no hope. I had no reference point for what it could
Mm.
feel like. And I don't have a reference point within a relationship of what it could feel like because
Mm.
I've not had that kind of relationship that I'm looking for. And understandably so, because
Yeah.
if I did, I wouldn't be
You would be
talking about the Ray.
absolutely. Absolutely. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But so I don't necessarily have a reference point from a relationship standpoint,
Mhm.
but I think following certain gentlemen online, it
Yeah.
is so encouraging. And there are others too, like Jason Wilson. I
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
him and I recommend him to clients as well. One
Mhm.
of his books in particular really helped one of my
Mhm.
clients.
Really? Please
Yeah,
share.
Cry Like a
What?
Man.
Ooh, oh, I heard of that.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
love that.
And one of my
I'm a
teenage clients, it really, really, really helped him. And I'm like,
wow.
yay. So yeah.
Okay.
And so
Better be giving it to some people for some gifts this year.
yes, yes. I actually bought
Okay.
Jay Barnett's book.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
give yep, I do want to give it as a gift to somebody. I don't know who yet, but
Mm,
it's really good as a journal for
okay.
men. Yeah.
Thank you.
And but yeah, so following people online, and I completely
Mhm.
believe in like 6 degrees of separation, actually less than that. And I
Really?
yeah, I'm like they're humans, of course, but I'm like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not so disconnected from like I could
Mhm.
do like a couple of people in between me and certain people that I'm like, yeah, I
Absolutely.
can like, I don't know, it just makes it more real to
It's
me. Like it's
okay.
not
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's not just like these people I'm following on
Mhm.
social media. They're like real human beings. And
Yes,
so and that
absolutely.
just I think that further just encourages me that
Okay.
that keep going, Nitra. He's out there.
I
Your
love
guy is
that.
out there. Mhm.
I think that's so inspirational because it's not easy dating, as you said, in general, and then to experience, such grief and pain in your life, and then to still be sorting out your own feelings and where you are, and then to also, integrate someone else into that and see how well they can, be a part of your world. How well can they integrate with you? How well can they, be of service to you? How well can they speak to your pain in a sense positively,
Mhm.
and then also paying attention to how do they add to it, how do they add to the stress, how do they add to the things that you don't need. I think it takes awareness, and so I guess if you can share with us briefly, like, and I don't know how much time you have, but just sharing with us in general about how did you go about your healing, and would you say that there's a time limits, where you're dating, because it was a year for you after, the passing of your first son, and so, I mean, how did you know you were kinda ready to jump out there? I know that's like three questions in that, but that's how my brain works.
Well, actually, after Jaden, it was only four
Mhm.
months till I started
Okay.
dating. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's like,
Okay.
and then it was a
Mm,
year after that first guy I was
okay.
dating. But
Do you think you were ready at those times?
that's a really good question. And uh, I will say yes.
Okay.
I don't regret
Mhm.
though that relationship.
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Good.
And I think that also because I'm so intentional about healing,
Okay.
I it wasn't a th- I was very aware of what was mine and what was his,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, I love
So,
that.
yeah,
That
it
takes
was
so much awareness.
yeah, so it wasn't that I was putting my pain off on him and I wanted to be in a relationship so I wouldn't experience my pain. No, my pain is my own. I
Mhm.
had, so how I began the healing process for me, definitely therapy, but
Mhm.
it was more than just therapy. It was um my quiet time. I
Mhm.
stillness, prayer.
Mhm.
Uh at first it was my friend and my pastor was leading me in a certain type of prayer, this healing
Mhm.
prayer where it's really intense, but
Mhm.
it was transformational for me.
Mhm.
And then on my own, cultivating that relationship with God and asking those really, really hard questions, and
Mhm.
um and wrestling with God on
Mhm.
those really hard questions. And that was like really after Josiah, and
Mhm.
really um rediscovering and deconstructing old beliefs about the personhood of God,
Mhm.
and learning to feel comfortable approaching Him and not feeling like um, this fear of judgment or condemnation. And
Yeah.
so then
Ooh.
after Jaden, though, um, I my relationship with God changed again, and I could tell that He was drawing me even more deeply into contemplative meditation.
Mm.
And just
Ooh.
it really became about me and my relationship with myself,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
learning how to offer myself self-compassion. And this was being led by
Mm.
what in my faith is, the Holy Spirit was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's focus on you. This is about you right now. And so
Mm.
I did, while at the same time having a therapist, I had I went through mindfulness based stress reduction. I did that
Nice.
8-week
Yeah.
course.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, so it's about
Mm.
like going
That's
deep
right there.
and
Mm.
quieting, and
Mm.
or yes, and like the whole like we and in that we also did the day long of a silent retreat.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just
Ooh.
so restorative to just begin to be comfortable in silence.
Mm.
And to
Yeah.
because when you're grieving, it's so much going on in your mind,
Oh,
and to
damn.
mhm,
Yeah.
and so to be able to quiet myself in
Mm.
stillness and find peace in my
Mm.
pain was it was phenomenal. And then
Mm.
I also worked for a mindfulness
Mm.
organization at that time too, and it was just
I
like
love
it
it.
was just mindfulness was everywhere. And
I
so it
love
was
it.
like so healing. And then after that, I also did mindfulness based no, MBSR. It was no, not MBSR, I'm sorry. It's mindfulness MSC, mindfulness self-compassion. So
Okay.
I did that course as well, another 8-week course. And so again, the silent retreat and
Mm.
all of that, and just practicing daily meditation. And
Mm.
meditation has been so huge for me because after losing two sons and after doing what I thought were all the Christian things to do in order to gain
Yeah.
a certain result, and it failed, my sons are dead physically.
Yeah.
Um, it was like, okay, God, it didn't work.
Mhm.
And I was beefing with him for a minute.
Absolutely.
I was beefing.
I think that's a part of the grief process for some people, for most people.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, and so I started talking
Getting
to
all this
Mary.
attitude today.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like, prayer for me at
Mhm.
one point was like, it was just me breathing.
Yeah.
It was just me breathing intentionally and
Yeah.
just acknowledging God's presence because I did
Mm.
not believe that my prayers were effective and they didn't meant anything.
Mm.
And so I was like, what's
Mm.
the point? So,
Yeah.
I
Mm.
would but yeah, but at the same time, it was absolutely beautiful because I know that God heard my breath prayers.
Yeah. Okay. I
He
love
heard my
that.
breath prayers.
Mhm.
And so,
Mm.
uh, that whole process of just becoming quiet. And I was saying I talked to Mary. I'm not Catholic,
Mhm.
but
I'm just
someone
like, listen, you ain't hearing me, God, so I'm gonna go
and
to
I was
somebody
mad
else.
at him. I was mad at
Yeah,
him, and I was like, "Mary, you get it, because your
yeah,
son died." And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
I was like,
Mm.
"Listen, I'm gonna talk to you, but can you relay a message for me?"
I know that's right, okay? Because he's not hearing me.
Cause like, cause it seems like you're not hearing me. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I just developed a
Wow,
fondness
I
for
love that.
Mary. Like I do. I have a
Mhm,
fondness for
mhm,
Mary, and someone who is
mhm.
Catholic. They said, "Nitra, you're more Catholic than I am."
Really? At this point, yes, because no, I
It's like I was
understand.
like, Lord, I thank you. And but
Right.
I love their
Mhm.
contemplative practices though.
Yeah. Really?
It was
Okay.
so healing for me, and it still is. It still is.
Mm,
And so yeah, so for me healing has evolved in so many different ways. And
mm,
but it has been this thing of God showing me how to love and support myself, and in that
mhm.
recognizing how much God loves humanity,
Yeah.
how much
Yeah.
He is in love with humanity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so my heart is just postured to love.
Yeah. I love it.
And that has been just like the
Mm.
biggest transformation, I think, for me, is that love is everything. Love is
Yeah.
everything. It's healing. It's revolutionary. And
I agree.
so, yeah,
Transformative, it's
it
restorative,
is.
all those
It
things you said
yeah,
earlier. Yes, I
yeah.
agree.
And I found that in stillness. And I still
Mm.
do. Like I still find
Mm.
that in stillness. Like this morning I got up and I was like, "Oh, I got to do this, this, this." And I was like, "Wait a
Mhm.
minute." I could feel myself going like this inside. And I
Too
was like,
much, yeah.
"No, yeah, it's too much." I was like, "Uh-uh. I have to like quiet myself, because that's where I really feel connected to God, when I'm able just to quiet
Mm.
myself and
Mm.
just breathe
I
and
know that's
just
right.
yeah, just feel his love and just feel just like, okay, Nitra, you don't have to strive. You can just be. You can just
Mm.
be. And
I
so
love that so much.
yeah, so getting back to dating and everything, I don't need a man to fix me.
Yeah.
You
Ooh,
know,
okay.
I need a man to be
Mm.
present.
Yeah.
Just be
Yeah.
present.
Mm.
And in order for
Mm.
a man to be that for me, he has to have that in his own life.
Mm.
He
I
has
love
to have
that.
that presence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to understand
Absolutely.
it, to get it. And
Mm.
so I haven't found him yet, but
Okay.
he's out there. "Hey, boo."
Okay. Period. Okay. He's listening probably.
"Hey,
Okay. I know
I'm
that's
waiting
right.
for you.
Okay. I know
We
that's
gonna have some
right.
fun. You better hurry up."
Okay, please. Where are you? No, it's so funny though, because I think that's a good point in intentionality in general. Like, you know, how you said you were intentional about your breaths, you were intentional about your prayers, you were intentional about your meditation. You're being intentional about your pursuit of a partner, you know, and but you're doing that in stillness, meaning you're practice being present with God. You're allowing Him to be present with you. You're allowing yourself to be present with yourself. You're, you know, constantly inspiring hope. I really love your podcast name. You're constantly inspiring hope for your future partner through following, you know, people and men who are exact examples of what you want your partner to be. And I just think that's so beautiful to be able to do those things because you're intentional. And I wrote down that you probably need to write a book about intentional something, intentional awareness, and being intentional after grief or pain or trauma. I don't know, but I just feel like you are very intentional in your healing. And so to me, when we think about losing people, or when we think about grief in general, trauma, I really feel like it's important, and just hearing your story, that it's important of self-awareness is constantly important. And I always preach that and practice that, but self-awareness is so important because to me, that's how you find healthy people. That's how you find healthy you. You know, that's how you understand your pain points, your triggers. That's how you know when it's time to leave, like what your boundaries are, what is too much, what's not in your capacity, what sort of things that another person is either speaking to or not speaking to you for you. And I feel like it's all relying on awareness and that connection that you have, not only to, God, but to yourself in all of those areas.
Yeah.
And so it's really inspiring to hear you talk about, just dating after a loss in general and how that has been for you and knowing when you're ready. And I hope that though, someone anyone who's listening to this and that plays this in the record or whatever understands that in anything that we've been through in our lives, we have to face it. We can't just push it down. We can't just like, oh, it'll be all right. That happened, so I'm gonna keep pushing. It's so interesting. The book The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I have not fully read that book yet, right? I read What Happened to You by with Oprah. I read that, but
Mm.
it's really good.
Mhm.
It's about trauma as well and just how it
Mhm.
lives in our body. But so a few months ago, and I keep telling people this, but a few months ago, um, I was watching, all of us. It's on Hulu. It's with Dwayne Martin, Elise Neal. It's the show that Will Smith created and his wife. It's called All of Us. They be
Uh-huh.
like, "This is all of us." So growing up, I used to watch that show when it first came out. It came out in about 2002, 2001. Maybe I'm going too far back. No, I'm not. And so, when I put that show on a few in the summertime, the intro triggered me. I
Mm.
started crying. I started feeling so, so sad. I did not know what's happening. And so about 5, 6 episodes played, I burst out in tears. I'm sitting on the couch next to my husband. I'm like crying every time the episode came on, and it only when it started. When it settled, I was fine, but just the intro. And so I kept wondering, why am I crying? I could no longer watch the show, and this was recent. I used to watch when I was like 12 years old, but I couldn't watch the show anymore until I figured out what was happening to me. And so I ended up talking to my mom. Long story short, and she kind of just expressed to me that that was the time we moved into our new house. I think around all those times I had lost my grandmother. I don't know if there was some things going on with my father, who eventually, passed away from pancreatic cancer,
Mm.
but it triggered some things in me. And so again, even if, and I said this all to say, eventually, once I realized that and talked to my mom, I was able to, watch the show again without crying now, even though I don't even know still exactly what it was. But I realized in that point that the things that we deal with and that we go through in our past is not always apparent to us. They're not always very superficial. They're not always like, oh, I know exactly what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling this. But that there are things that trigger us. And just like how you said in your relationship and in dating, seeing experiencing the inconsistency and it triggered abandonment, which were things that you had already felt, in the passing of your sons and probably, previous issues, things and experiences of your life. And so we're not always aware, but they're still there. They're still very much there. So in doing the work and wanting to be a part of another person's life, wanting to share our life with other people, I think it really is our duty and responsibility to go to therapy. And even if you don't want to go to therapy, because I mean, it may not work for everybody, but to me, to have someone to talk to be intentional about your healing and to meditate, to follow people who are trying different things to heal themselves, to even just have people in your environment do things that make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? Do things
Mhm.
that allow you to express yourself. So I think that's really important when it comes to dating, period, but especially dating after loss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wanna say too that
Mhm.
before I block this person, because I don't just
That's okay.
willy-nilly just block people. I don't do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
I am the kind of person that
Mhm,
I want to face things head on and
mhm.
intentionally, because I'm an intentional person.
You
I
are. Yeah.
attempted to have many times I attempted
Mm,
to have conversations where we gain clarity
yeah.
and just lay things out, but it just it
It
just
just didn't
wasn't
pan out.
happening. It wasn't that
Yeah.
wasn't something that this person was really willing to do. It was like little bits and
Mhm.
pieces here and there. And so it was just like, why am I putting so much effort into this?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
just to stop it, just I was like, I can't keep going through this. And so it was just like I just
Mm.
cut it off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important. Thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
I think it's important to know our boundaries and our capacity.
Yeah.
But again, being able to be aware of what your what where the pain was triggering the pain, the trauma, those needs, and then the naturally, if you had not experienced this loss, or if you felt just healthy, how would that, how would you respond to the situation?
Mhm.
Again, because I totally think it can go both ways if you don't have that awareness of your self worth as you do, which I think is such a beautiful thing. And I'm pretty sure that that has aided so much in, you being able to be on this journey and to navigate it so beautifully. And I know there's probably ups and downs. I know that it's like
Yeah.
sometimes bittersweet, but you are constantly keeping yourself hopeful by the things that you do and being intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was great. I'm so
I
happy.
know.
We were literally on the phone for like an hour and something, and then you was just like, "Hey, let's just get on let's get on a ride."
Yeah, 'cause our
Yeah,
conversation was so good. I was like, "You know what? Let's just do
yeah,
this needs to be a podcast." So,
I
yeah.
agree. No, I'm so grateful for you for being here, for sharing your story, for sharing your experiences. I hope that this was supportive to you, just in general, of being able to talk about these things, because I can't imagine how it feels to be in this realm and talking about such things. But also, I can tell that, again, you're very intentional. So, just saying, as a friend, I don't have any doubt that you are not okay. Like, I don't have any doubt that you are not fine. Um, and of course, they always say, with a strong friend, you still have to check in and make sure they're okay. But
Yeah.
I know that you have the practices that you have, and so I
Yeah.
just think that's so beautiful. I'm
Thank
really grateful for you being here.
thank you. It has been
Yeah,
hard, like, especially in
yeah,
December, and, transitioning
yeah,
into a new year is usually hard for me because New Year and my sons aren't here to be with me
yeah.
in this new year. I still have my Nicholas, but
I
Josiah
know
and
that's
Jaden
right.
aren't here,
Mm,
and so it's hard, and, I I have developed a practice of being honest and
yeah,
saying to, if just one friend, I'm hurting today, or I feel
yeah,
really, really lonely today.
mm,
Just, to say, hey,
mm,
and I was able to do that. And
right.
then I did yoga and I
Good.
felt good. Yeah. And I cuddled up
Okay.
with Zelda, my dog.
I love it. Okay.
I was like, come on,
Absolutely.
Zelda, you can cuddle
Yes.
with me.
I know that's right. Being intentional and release and
Yeah.
receiving. Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, no, you know what? At the end of the day, I know it's a journey. And so, just again, thank you for being here and for being so honest and open. And of course, if you ever need me, I am here. If you ever
thank
need to talk, I
you.
am here. Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Please tell us again one more time before we leave, how people can find you,
Yeah.
and about your podcast.
Yes. Inspiring Hope podcast on
Mm,
like all the platforms, Apple,
mhm.
Spotify, iHeartRadio,
Yeah.
Google,
Google. Yeah.
Google Podcasts,
Yeah.
Amazon Podcasts.
Mhm.
And then also I'm on Instagram at Anitra Rice, and I'm on
Yeah.
Facebook, Anitra L. Rice, and also Inspiring Hope podcast. So I'm
Yeah, thank
there.
you. She is there, you all. If you need a therapist, if you want help with parenting, and if you just want to relate and you can understand Anisha's story just in general, please. I'm sure she would love to talk to you and to help you. She's such a sweet, kind, very knowledgeable, intentional person. It will be the best decision you make in your life. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends. I'm saying that because she really is amazing. So again, thank you. And if you guys don't know, you can follow me on YouTube at the Mary Millennial. You can also find me on Instagram at the Mary. No, actually, I changed my name on all of these platforms. What the heck is wrong with me? I changed my name to Jaquita Reed on Instagram and on YouTube. So on Instagram, it is the Jaquita Reed, and on YouTube, it's the Jaquita Reed. I'm trying to work on branding, y'all. Okay, just bear with me. But if you Google my name, Jaquita Reed, you can find everything that I do. So thank you all for joining. Please leave comments and like, share if you want to. If you were inspired, please leave something that resonated with you. And we will talk to you guys soon. Please, peace out. Bye.
Bye.